Today's guest is someone whose work has truly changed my life. Maura Thomas has helped me work with more clarity, less stress, and far more intention. Her ideas didn't just help me get more done. They helped me feel calmer, more focused, and more in control of my days. That alone has been a gift. What I love about Maura's work is how practical it is. It doesn't ask you to hustle harder or do more. It helps you focus on what actually matters. And my hope is that today's conversation does the same for you. Maura, I am so grateful you're here.
I am so grateful for that introduction. Thank you, Karen.
You are so welcome. And I mean it. You have been a game changer for me. And I love your work. And I'm so excited to talk about it today and share it with others.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yay. Well, I'd love to start with, how you got into, and maybe even a just quick explanation of why attention management, and how did you get into this space? I think you have a great story around this.
My first job right out of college was for a company that sold planners and training. And it was a great planner and one of the best on the market. It was a Danish-based company. And so I had this great career there. I spent about 10 years there, and then I started my business, and I was helping people to, manage their time and be more productive. And it was shortly after the iPhone came out that I realized that this framework of managing time as a path to improving productivity, which I define as, which the dictionary defines as achieving more of what's most important, significant results. And so this path of managing time to achieve more of what's important was not helpful as a frame. The words themselves, I felt, were holding us back, because once the internet came about, and especially internet-connected smartphones, time changed, because you could spend time doing something, but you could be physically present at something, but not mentally present at something. And that was possible before phones, but it wasn't as constant as it is since the advent of the internet-connected smartphone. It's like it's so much harder for people to maintain their presence with another human. And not only with another human, but to maintain presence on any one thing at a time. What I'm finding is that for most people, doing only one thing is boring. And in fact, sometimes doing only two things are boring. How often do you find yourself listening to a podcast while you're talking on the phone and doing the dishes or something like that, right?
Yeah, we're all in that space at some time, right?
It's like we have to stuff as much, we feel like we have to stuff as much as possible into a space. Otherwise, we're not being productive. And so this idea to me of managing time started to feel less and less relevant. And also, not having enough time really has never been our problem, because if you have a day where you say to yourself, oh my gosh, I was busy all day and I got nothing done. But then you have a day that you say to yourself, wow, that was such a good day. I got so much done. In both of those days, you had 24 hours. So we have all the time we need to have productive days. It's how we allocate our attention during that time that is the difference. And so I started to really explore these ideas of attention management. And there were books and the attention economy and, with the advent of the internet and smartphones, people were starting to talk about this, but not around personal productivity. And so I started writing about what I was calling attention management, and it really resonated with people.
Oh, it's for me, it's been profound to have that shift from this idea of time to attention. And isn't there science too backing this, that we don't really we don't multitask, right? We switch. Isn't there some neuroscience around this as well, that we're kind of faking it, thinking that we're getting more done?
Yes. What we're really doing is splitting our attention, because when you can't do two cognitive activities at the same time. Right? So if somebody is talking to you and you are, in fact, this is something that I think a lot of people catch themselves doing. If you're at your desk and the phone rings and you answer the phone, but you're still facing your computer, and there's maybe email coming in on your computer. And so you just find yourself reading it by accident when you're on the phone. Yeah. And you know that moment when you're talking to someone and you're like, are you there? And the person's like, you can almost see them in your mind going, oh, sorry. And they turn away from their computer because they have to. Because we can't do two cognitive things at once. So yes, we switch what we're doing, and when we switch what we're doing, everything we do takes longer, and we do it poorly. So interesting.
It's, for me too, this is, I mean, our iPhone is like, we're attached to it, our computers. There's just so much technology that is pulling our attention away as well. Mm-hmm. If we think about it that way, this idea too that productivity isn't about doing more. And if it's not about doing more, what is it really about? And I think what you're putting out here of, making the impact on the things you actually want to get done, this idea of not being busy and actually being productive, is something we have to kind of fight for, right?
Absolutely. And to me, the definition of productive is even bigger than just the tasks on your list, because if you define productivity as achieving significant results, then a significant result, sure, is the thing that's on your to-do list today, but it also could be being present with your family. It could also be being the kind of person that you want to be out in the world. And the significance changes with the time horizon. And so to me, the definition of productivity is really big. It's really what's important to you, however you define that. And are you really conscious of that, and how you're showing up in the world, how you're doing activities, how you are interacting with other people, but also, did you notice that the elderly lady is struggling to cross the street, or whatever it is. And we're all just so mesmerized by our devices now that we're losing who we are, because we have these people that we want to be and the people that we think we are. But if you're not behaving that way out in the world, then are you really that person that you think you are, or that you want to be?
So interesting. Okay, so we're plagued by our technology, heading in a direction of not being present, which resonates, I'm sure with everyone listening, and myself included. What can we do about it? What are some techniques or tips you have for how do we get that attention back?
Part of the problem is that the more distracted we are, the more distracted we get. And also, the more comfortable we get being distracted and being not fully present. And so, and this is really what's been on my mind. It's almost, the biggest problem now is almost not that we are so distracted. I think now the biggest problem is becoming how comfortable we are being distracted.
Wow, yeah.
And so I talk a lot about single tasking and controlling your environment and controlling your technology so that it's not so easy for you to be distracted. People say things to me like, oh, my phone just buzzes all day and I just ignore it. Except you don't really ignore it. And even when you do ignore it, you still register the distraction, and then some part of your brain is going, I wonder what that was and who was it, and I'm not going to get it right now, but I wonder, maybe I should get it, and I wonder who, right? And
so right? True. Yes.
And it sends you down this whole rabbit trail that now you're not present for whatever else you were doing. So why not just make it easy for yourself to really? And I think part of the reason that I that I coined attention management in this way is because it's not just about focus. It's about, are you doing all like what headspace are you in, and are you doing all the brain activities that make you fully immersed in whatever it is that you're doing, so that you're having the full experience of whatever it is, so that you're marshaling all of your, not just your, if it's a task, it's not just your knowledge and your wisdom and your skills and your abilities, but it's also your humor and your empathy and your diplomacy and just all the things that we, I think, work on as grown-ups, and kind people, and what makes people like us, and how to relate to other humans. So we get all these skills, and then we don't express those skills because we give ourselves only fractured attention. And so we're just fracturing our personality and our skill set and our talents and all the things.
Yeah, it's such an important thing, I think, right now, to be thinking about that. I think it's a really profound thoughts that you have around this. And I know from learning some of your ideas around this and techniques, and just some of your recommendations of turning off notifications and on my phone, and have been huge, because we're getting a dopamine kick. Is that correct? It's almost like we're getting sort of that dopamine kick, which makes us kind of addicted to like wanting to check our text messages and our emails.
Yeah, there is a lot of research about the kind of chemical brain spikes, but I think it's becoming this whole perfect storm of we get so used to it that it feels comfortable. It feels right. It feels like this is how it's supposed to be. And so when it isn't that way, it feels wrong. When in fact, it's so much more right. And it isn't that way.
Yeah. Being in that headspace, I think this idea of, I like to think about it as bringing my energy to what I'm doing, or getting into that flow state where something you have those moments where you work on something where you are giving it your full attention. It feels so juicy and so good. And it's difficult to get into that. It's difficult to be in that space, and to you have, like you said, you have to have, I think, a practice around this, right? This isn't something that you just, all of a sudden get and then are. Like, this requires discipline.
Oh, practice for sure. And the more distracted we are, the more distracted we get. But the reverse is also true. The less distracted we are, the less distracted we get.
Interesting.
And so the more we practice being present, the more and single tasking, for lack of a better term, right? But just being fully present with something and fully immersed in that something. And when you said bring your energy to it, I think you meant literally your energy, but I almost thought you were talking about like in the metaphysical sense, like
maybe both.
Yeah, like your essence,
yes,
right?
Essence.
Like all of who you are to a thing, so that you feel like you're just really, especially when you're with another person, right? If you're just sort of half there, that other person knows that you're just half there, but also you're just not being you, and you're not, all the reason that the person wants to be with you to begin with, it just isn't there.
Mm-hmm. Do you have personal practices of how you stay present for your family? And, we'll go into the family aspect, because I think we want to live great lives, right? And have great relationships. And that's probably, for many of us, the most important part.
Yeah. One of the things that my husband and I try to do, and we don't always succeed, for sure. At least I don't always succeed, for sure. But we have declared at least our intention to have a single tasking household, a single tasking relationship, meaning when we're together, especially, we're whatever we're doing, if we decide to do a thing together, then that's the only thing we're doing together. If we're playing a game, we put a phone away. If we're making dinner, the laptops go. My husband likes to work at the kitchen counter. And so his laptop is like always on the kitchen counter.
Yeah. We have like, our spaces are blurred with working at home or working different, trying to make modern life work. And you're right. Like technology shows up in the middle of your kitchen counter. It's difficult to not just want to go over and walk and just start using it and get one more thing done. And,
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, I just thought of something. Let me just, I meant to do that. Let me just take it. And so, or you're sitting on the couch watching TV and all of a sudden one person is laughing and the other one isn't, and it's because they weren't watching. They were on their device. And so I like to talk about how shared experience requires shared presence. And so we try, even sometimes we're walking the dog and it's like, is it going to rain tomorrow? And it's so funny now how an innocent question that used to be a conversation starter is now almost considered an invitation to take out your phone.
Oh, yeah, it's true. I feel like the urge right now, is it going to rain tomorrow? I want to go get the weather app out and take a look. It's
But doesn't it feel like
it does.
I asked you if it's going to rain tomorrow? And so what I mean by that is that I want you to take out your phone and tell me if it's going to rain tomorrow. When that's not what you mean, but that's how it feels. And even technology has even killed. Remember when you used to sit around at dinner or at a bar with your friends and debate things? And that was the fun. And now there is no debate. Now it is, well, let's find out who's right. And then conversation's over. Okay, what do you want to talk about now? It is true. Changes the entire way that people relate to each other when we allow phones to be a part of it. And so back to what my husband and I try to do, it's so easy. We're walking the dog, and of course we both have our phone in the pocket, and so something comes up, and it's like, let's find out. I don't know. No. We're here. We're enjoying the dog. We're enjoying the weather. We're looking around the neighborhood. Let's just have a conversation and not do that. And it continually astounds me how hard it is to do that.
Yes.
To keep phones out of your existence.
It is a thing. We were talking earlier before coming here and having our chat about having a bowl where you put your cell phones in when you're at home to try to do, we all need to find these little hacks. I think you have to keep trying till you find something that works some of the time, right? This is no small mental battle that we are playing with ourselves. So.
And the more that this general principles of habit change, the more that we can make it easier to engage in the behaviors that we want to engage in, and the more that we can set up our environment so that it cultivates the behavior we want, then the easier it is to do. And so, like you said, the baskets or the charger is over there in the closet or however you do it. But, even if you think about before the internet, if you think about everybody's living room, it is organized around the television for most people. Everything faces the television. And if that's what it's for, then that's fine. But a lot of these homes have the family room that is organized around the TV and then the sitting area. And I don't know about you, but none of my friends use their sitting area. Right? That's not where you sit. It's like the furniture over there isn't even comfortable. We don't use that. And so even our homes in many ways are designed to take the emphasis off the communication, the relationships.
I know for my husband and I too, it's, we like to we're sitting in front of the TV, and you can, get really sucked into it and you can be present with each other, but it is kind of taking your attention away. And then from what I've heard you talk about this before, even the apps that we're watching our programs on are trying to keep us still watching what's going on, right? They're trying to keep us our attention there too. Everything is trying to keep us on them, right?
Yes. For all technology. The success metric is how often do people engage with it and how long do they stay? Yeah. And so all of it is designed in such a way to keep us engaged. But we still have control over a lot of that. Like the Netflix or all the streaming services, that autoplay feature. We can still, they might take it away, but right now we can shut it off. in most cases. But most people don't even know, autoplay. Oh, I didn't realize I can shut that off. And that's by design.
Yeah.
The harder they make it for us to control it, then the more of our attention they get, which means the more profits they make.
So interesting. Yeah. It feels good to want to take control of that back. And, one thing I like to talk about, and I talk about a lot, and other, people who've been on here and just in general in life, is this idea of CEOing your health and our health, and making, over the last several years, I've made my health my number one priority. And that evolved a lot around exercise and eating and all these other pieces. But this, I think, is something that is really important for our mental health and the health of our relationships, which is equally important for longevity and feeling like you live a great life. What are your thoughts on that?
So many thoughts on that. As far as the physical health, there is a connection, because when we are task switching and trying to cram so much into everything we do, that means that everything we're doing takes longer. And so when everything we do takes longer, then we end up having to feel like we have less time and we have to do more. And so then something's got to go, because there are only so many hours in the day. And for most people, the first thing to go is exercise, and the second thing to go is sleep. But when we realize, if we simply take control of our technology, take control of our attention, so that we can do one thing at a time, then we get so much more done faster and better. And then there's lots more time for exercise and sleep and all the other things. So there's a definite direct line to our physical health, and for sure for our mental health. And this is another part of the sort of insidiousness of the technology, is that it has convinced us that scrolling our devices is relaxing, right? And it's really not relaxing.
No.
It's not.
It's just a little data point on that. So I have an Oura ring. I've had it for about 3 years. At least it's a passive device that I'm wearing, still a device, which that I think comes with its own set of wanting to look at things. But one thing that I found really interesting as I was getting stress data and learning more about where my stress peaks, because there's a piece in there that tells you when you stress, I didn't realize how much when I was sitting, the difference between sitting and watching, I'll use TV. I'm even watching TV. But if I'm watching TV and I have my phone out and I was scrolling or looking at emails one more time or whatever, it was showing up as stress when I was sitting there relaxing. And if I just put the phone away and watch the show, usually with my husband sitting there, I actually did relax and I was able to. So it's very fascinating that I don't know that we as humans anymore know how to feel when we are really stressed out and heading into that burnout. We only kind of know it when it shows up in like the burnout, the really extreme. Like, can we feel the subtleties of when we're starting to go down the precarious path where it's going to be detrimental, for our health? Very interesting piece there.
And if I can paraphrase, I think, what I think you said, we don't know what it feels like to really be relaxed. Yeah. And in fact, it feels so uncomfortable that it doesn't feel relaxing.
100%. 100%. Yeah. Yes. No, I 100% agree with that. And this idea of, to kind of go into some of the other things you've been talking about, we work with a coach. I have an executive coach and works with a lot of our leadership team as well. And we talk about this badge of exhaustion and that we are trying at American Crane, and I am trying in my life to not use this badge of exhaustion as some sort of like thing to be honored. It is not something to be honored. If we're doing it right, we don't need that badge goes away, and we're doing what you're saying. We're single tasking and we're being productive and we're getting the things done. And then being able to have the time and space to decide what are the priorities of what we want to do.
Well, and I have to say that you're setting a great example, because every time I come in and deliver training at American Crane and I say the things that I always say that audiences are like, oh my gosh, you're describing me. Things like, how often do you leave work thinking I was busy all day and I got nothing done? And I tell people, show me on your fingers. And at American Crane, the people are always 1 finger, 2 finger, but in every other audience, it's 5 fingers, 4 fingers, 10 fingers, right? People, or how often do you take work home because you didn't get enough done during the day? And all of my audiences all over the world are like, oh, it happens all the time. Well, more in America than in other countries. Yes, for sure. But not American Crane. American Crane, they're like, no, we leave work at work.
It's good to hear.
Like, yes,
trying.
Yes.
Because, the reason I think, I invest in all this is from all I've learned from you, and then what I've personally experienced from this change of mindset is that you really are more productive. Like, you actually get more done, and you feel better, and you have time to reboot, and it's, you actually can achieve those great, big, beautiful goals, like having a podcast, that you want to actually get done, which, so, I guess we have to just keep talking about this to break the paradigm. What are your thoughts on that? You need to keep spreading the word of this.
Yeah, it is a huge challenge because the more we engage in technology and the more omnipresent it becomes, the more comfortable it feels, and the more our desire to be intentional actually starts to slip away. Because being intentional is harder. And it takes more effort. And then you have to know things, and you have to know yourself, and you have to have time to reflect. And even all of that is getting squeezed out. And so we consume so much, and we don't spend a lot of time reflecting on what we consume. And so then that's why we hear people just sort of repeating talking points, and it's like, tell me why you think that. And, well, everybody knows that. Or, right, we just start spewing things without really even stopping to think about it. And a lot of people tell me that it feels like stopping to think is a luxury that I can't afford.
Oh, right?
Yeah.
That I think you're speaking the state of the world at the moment. I think it's really hard for many of us, and it was for me, and it still can be hard. I think it, like you said, there's a practice around this, an intention about it. It's almost like we can't tolerate peace, meaning like when we're at peace or at rest. And this is when our subconscious is doing all the juicy stuff of connecting the dots and letting us think. And we're just kind of in our own, what I'll call energy space, and just feeling our emotions, which are like this amazing feedback loop. We're not even allowing ourselves to do it because we can't tolerate, being in that peaceful, and maybe you have a better word for it, state.
Yes, it's hard. I mean, for sure. And part of that is because it's hard for people. When you don't do it a lot, it doesn't feel comfortable. And so when it doesn't feel comfortable, you don't want to do it. So then it creates this negative loop where the less I do it, the less I want to do it. And and I hope I don't sound judgmental. There is trillions of dollars being spent making us feel this way. And so it is no wonder that we feel this way. This is not a lack of willpower. This is not, we're just weak humans.
Yes, forgive yourself if you feel like we all feel like we're in this space at some point in time. And it, yeah, I love that. Everybody listening needs to take a breath and give yourself some grace. And,
there is an entire... our attention has become the most valuable commodity on the planet. Attention is the most valuable resource on the planet by a lot. It's not even close. And so similar to the Industrial Revolution, when units of labor were monetized, well, now we live in the attention economy where units of attention have been monetized. And so the profits of attention merchants is based on how much of our attention they can have. So they want it all.
Yeah.
They want it all. And that's why I think wearable, like glasses haven't quite caught on yet, but I believe that they will never give up on that because that is such an easy path to controlling more of our attention more often.
Have more things around, like we're in the video game with all of the distractions and the glasses, and
yeah, and then all the sort of propaganda around it. Oh, isn't this convenient? I mean, it's just the next iteration of sort of the internet. If you tell us everything about yourself, that will make your life more convenient because you'll get advertising that you actually want. Right. And they feed us all this propaganda that makes us go, oh, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. All right. And so we just start giving up more and more. But again, it's not because we're weak. It's not because we're stupid. It's because it is literal psychological warfare. I mean, what's being studied now is not programming. It is cognitive psychology and behavioral analysis and brain hacking to use against us for profit.
Okay, so we got the state of the world. We've got to fight back. Okay, deep breath. How do we're fighting? If we look at it first, because I like to talk about this from two angles: from both the individual person, what they can do, and maybe just a few steps of where to start, and then maybe where to kind of learn more, and then also to leaders and what we can do on that side. So if we start first with, okay, we're listening to this. I don't want them in control of my attention. How do I maintain and keep that control? Like what is it that we can do to fight back?
Many things. So I would say don't underestimate the importance of changing the words because words have power. And so many people tell me, in fact, I think you said it too, this shift to thinking about attention management over time management, because once you start thinking in terms of attention, then you become more aware of distraction.
Oh, interesting.
And then once you become more aware of distraction, then you start recognizing when you are distracted, and you can't change what you're not aware of. And so the more aware you are, the more likely you are to change. So changing your language, what you think in your head and what you say to other people is really important, because then everybody starts to recognize how distracted they are. And then once in those moments, I should have shut that off. I should have gone on airplane mode.
At least we can see it, right? We can see it. We can take action. We can attempt to move the needle.
Exactly.
I know as a leader, after learning, and it's been a while since I heard you the first time. I was trying to think about how long ago, but it had such a profound impact on myself, and then also trying to bring it into my business and to those around me. And I think one of the biggest gifts that I'm now able to give as a leader based on your learnings is, just also start with, it's my attention, but simply when I go to meetings, I do not have my phone up or making noise or whatever. I try to wear a plain old watch if I have to somehow be paying attention to time, or bake in enough time so that I don't have to be looking at that. But I feel like I'm able to give the people who report into me, and in the meetings that I am in, I am giving my full attention. And so no computer, or if for some reason there's a presentation to do, no email, no multitasking. So I feel like that has been something that I've implemented. Is there other mindset like shifts that a leader can do to help? That's me showing up as a leader to my people. But what else can we do as leaders to enhance help this whole process along, both for ourselves and for those that we are with or leading?
Yes. The same advice for individuals goes for organizations. The more we infuse the idea of attention management, but also this is both for individuals and for organizations, being mindful about the impact of distraction. So, for example, on our personal devices. We don't need notifications for email. We don't need the notification that says somebody just liked your post on LinkedIn. We don't need the notification that says it's going to be cold tomorrow. Right? We don't need all of those. If we want to know what the weather is, it's easy enough to find out what the weather is. And so controlling the notifications on our personal devices, but also so many organizations and so many leaders will roll out their technology without thinking, like Teams. Everybody's on every channel, on every thread, and all the notifications on every thread and every channel are all turned on. And so anytime anybody posts anything on any channel in Teams, everybody in the company gets a ping. And then leaders talk about being responsive. But without any definition around that, if you just say, I need you to be responsive, then that tells me that I have to be fast with my responses. And if I have to be fast with my responses, then I have to monitor all of my communication all the time. Yeah. And so between the notifications, it's super overwhelming. And so thinking about as we think about how we use technology inside organizations, how distracting is the technology, and is it supporting our ability to go home at the end of the day saying, wow, that was such a good day, I got so much done, or is it just relentlessly distracting us all day long?
I know one of your books is about the inbox and managing the inbox, and I think one of the things that really was again profound for me to learn was this concept of which way are you going to communicate to someone based on the urgency, and this idea that email feels so urgent, but it's really not necessarily urgent. I mean, so if we have any tips for anybody listening on how to manage that? I mean, and I also think the Teams thing is super, super interesting. I didn't even think about notifications on Teams. I was thinking always about email, but you're right. We have so many more pieces of technology that are getting integrated into our workplaces.
Mm-hmm. I think about communication as the assembly line of the 21st century.
Okay.
And so if you think about the assembly line in the industrial age, how much effort was put into optimizing the assembly line so that we could get as much production as possible. But the way that work gets done in the 21st century is communication. And yet we give no thought. We consider communication an individual, personal thing. But you would never say in the industrial age, everybody just head out onto the factory floor and jump on a machine. I'm sure it'll work out.
Yeah, there might be some problems.
Right? But that's how we handle communication.
Yeah.
And organizations keep introducing new ways to communicate, but never offer any guidelines about which. So now what is this one for? If we have email, then how is Teams chat going to be different than that? And then if we, have this, group sales inbox, then how are these notifications from Salesforce? What's the difference? And which tool do I use in which situation? Most organizations give absolutely zero thought to how communication flows through their organization. And yet it is the biggest source of distraction and inefficiency inside organizations.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I feel like it can be the plague of getting anything done. So it's
for sure
super, super interesting. We're talking about a lot of things. I think a lot of, topics that you, and I've heard so much from you. Is there anything else you're researching or any other topics around this idea of attention control and what I love, this idea of living an empowered life? Like, what does living an empowered life mean? I want this. What does it mean? And how do we get there?
The thing that I've been thinking most about lately is, I alluded to it before, it's not just that we're so distracted. It's how accepting we are of being distracted and how comfortable it feels to engage with our device instead of with other people. And I've had these conversations about how, and you never know when a conversation is going to change your life or change your business or be the biggest opportunity you've ever had. And so in those in those instances where we used to, there was nothing else to do except talk to the other person beside you and on the plane or waiting in line or whatever it is. And the I think people agree with me in theory, but what I also hear people talking about is, oh, but sometimes, I mean, it's just so much easier to, like, I'm so exhausted. All I want to do is, I don't want to talk to anyone. And I understand it. And the fact that we feel that way and that I understand us feeling that way just makes me so sad.
Yeah.
Because we're just losing the ability to talk to other people and to communicate. I think kids' social skills are really suffering, in part because they don't talk to each other. I mean, when you and I were young, if you said something mean to someone, you saw the consequences of that on their face or in the way other people reacted.
Right.
But now kids break up with each other by text message. Yeah. Like, there's no consequence. And so you don't realize that that thing you said was really mean. You didn't realize because there was no feedback. Yeah. You just threw it out there.
How interesting. Well, and a lot of kids are say that they're bored, right? And that's just maybe this idea of they're not comfortable not on a device or being distracted, right?
Exactly.
That goes back to that concept you were talking about.
Using their creativity, using their imagination, and this comfort level of just relying on our devices.
And I think too, like if I were to think of, when someone says sometimes it's easier than having to talk to people, like, right? If you think about the plan and you're tired, but sometimes I think you can still just observe, like just observe and sit and like think about how you feel and let your mind wander. You don't have to talk to anybody if you don't want to, but instead of just like immediately, which again, I did it while I was sitting here waiting for you to come. I looked at my email on my phone. It's something we really have to put up a battle against.
Yes. Assessing how we feel and what we think and sort of reflecting on our lives and what we've consumed is hard, and sometimes it's not pretty. And therefore, if we can avoid doing it, then most people would avoid doing it. And it's understandable. And it's so easy to avoid doing it.
Yeah. I like to have this concept of lifting, and we're talking about big things, heavy things. What's lifting you right now, or what do you see in the future that is some positivity, that there may be progress that we can make in this?
There are pockets, as with many things, there are pockets of backlash against this. I've recently learned about communities of kids who have voluntarily gone to flip phones.
Oh, wow.
And I think people are, I think, you know how group texting seems to be a lot more common? I think even that is a bit of a backlash against social media and algorithms. I just want to talk to the people I want to talk to. So I'm going to create my own little text thread because I don't want to put this on Instagram. I just want my friends to see it, but Instagram doesn't give me, or Facebook or whatever it is, doesn't give me as much control over who sees it and who interacts with it. And so I am seeing, in fact, it's, as I understand it, it's been coined the tech lash.
Oh, so interesting. The tech lash. Wow. It resonates with me. I'm someone who loves technology. You may have seen some of the other episodes we've done here, and I'm always curious about it, and curious. I'm also curious about the future and things that are coming. But I will say, over the last maybe 12 to 24 months, thought about, well, what if there was something that a chip I could put in my head? If you would have asked me a couple years ago, I'd be like, absolutely, I want it. It'll help me get more done or whatever. And now I think, no. Yes, I think there's a place for technology, and yes, I do want to use it where it's appropriate, but I also want to be able to put it away and spend more time outdoors and spend more time unplugged. I love this idea of tech lash. I mean, do you think we'll get to a point where maybe we have like a switch in our home that just like shuts down all like the Wi-Fi, like the Wi-Fi red button or something? It's like, okay, everybody, like all tech is off, like.
For sure. I definitely think that could be an option. I also think that the more we demand it, the more it will get. It's where you live in a capitalist society. So the more people want a thing, the more solutions that come about to offer that thing. And so I think there's going to be focus mode on iPhone, I think, is a great example. Everybody was like, I can't shut it off. I can't airplane mode. What if my kids are trying to get me? What if there's emergency? Well, the answer to that was do not disturb.
Yeah. Okay.
With your settings.
Yeah.
Do not disturb for this or for this, but only for this. And so we have more control. And so I'm hopeful that the ability to control our devices is going to be more prevalent as devices and technology evolves. The problem with that is that they're not exactly enthusiastic about teaching us how to use it and
Sure.
even letting us know it's there, right?
And sure.
so
If they're making money off, I get it, right?
That's right. So it's kind
that
of
way for other
a
things.
double-edged sword. But I think that a lot more people, especially in this age of AI, and how is AI going to change our jobs and change our lives? And I think that there is a lot more emphasis on the human connection. A lot of people are talking about that, and I think that can only be good for us as a society, because I really felt like we were entering this world of scroll zombies.
Yes. Well, and it's got to be showing up in our health and other areas. So I love this idea of just awakening up to it, paying attention to it, and then using our collective voices to say, hey, we've got a tech lash here. We want things that will help us live great lives and be present, and all of these pieces that you have talked about.
That's exactly right. Engaging your community, whether it's your family, your friends, and really talking about, hey, let's just be present and let's just put our phones away and let's just, let's have these rules for when we're together, whatever they are, helps a lot, because doing it by yourself is hard.
I talk about you all the time. I talk about your books all the time to anybody who will listen. I really, truly believe it has been a game changer for me in my life and in my work. And so, I just want to thank you for what you do and the clarity that you've brought to me and others. Your ideas don't just help people get more done. You're helping people live and lead richer lives. They're having more meaningful lives being present, and you're lifting people everywhere by helping them focus on what truly matters. And I so appreciate that.
It means truly more than I can express to hear you say that. Thank you very much.
Well, thanks for coming today.
Thanks for having me.
Maura's work on attention management is truly eye-opening. If you're interested in learning more about Maura and her written works, check the show notes below. And don't forget to always lift.